On April 8, 2026, the United States and Iran agreed to a pause in a month-long war that had devastated the region. At the time, this ceasefire was framed as a temporary off-ramp, a brief opportunity to find a permanent diplomatic solution. That opportunity is now vanishing. Iran recently submitted a 14-point counterproposal to Washington, delivered indirectly through Pakistani mediators. President Trump's response to the document was immediate and public. Speaking to reporters and posting on Truth Social, he called the proposal garbage and totally unacceptable, even claiming he didn't finish reading it before rejecting it. As of tonight, the president warns the truce is on massive life support. This sudden collapse of the diplomatic track leaves the global economy in a state of uncertainty, as both nations prepare for the possibility of a return to active, all-out war. The diplomatic failure stems from a basic disagreement over what the war is actually about. On the U.S. side, the negotiating framework is built around a single goal: neutralizing Iran's nuclear program. Washington's three core demands are a 20-year moratorium on nuclear enrichment, the transfer of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile overseas, and the dismantling of its primary nuclear facilities. Tehran has rejected that focus entirely. Their 14-point plan prioritizes economic survival, demanding the immediate lifting of U.S. sanctions, ending the naval blockade, and unfreezing billions in Iranian assets. Iran also requires Israel to stop strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Because neither side is willing to address the other's primary strategic objective, they share no common ground. The two nations are essentially negotiating toward two different versions of peace. While the diplomats remain deadlocked, the actual military maneuvers in the Persian Gulf never truly stopped. The U.S. Navy is still enforcing its blockade. Over the last month, the Pentagon reports turning back 61 commercial vessels and disabling 4 others. On the other side, Iran has continued its maritime operations. Just yesterday, Kuwaiti forces clashed with members of the Revolutionary Guard who were attempting to infiltrate Bubiyan Island by sea. This was accompanied by major military exercises in Tehran, where the IRGC displayed its latest missile technology in a show of force. During these drills, Iranian commanders stated clearly that they were preparing for direct conflict with the American Zionist enemy. Though the ceasefire exists as a political label, the physical reality on the water has already returned to the rhythm of active conflict. The consequences of this deadlock are global. The conflict has already cost the U.S. government $29 billion. With the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed, global oil prices have been held at record highs for weeks. This economic strain is the primary backdrop for President Trump's upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. China, as the main buyer of Iranian oil, is pushing for an immediate reopening of the strait, adding significant diplomatic pressure to the situation. Iran's chief negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has already warned that without U.S. concessions, the current path will lead to one failure after another. President Trump has countered with a direct military threat. He noted the U.S. has already hit 70% of its targets and could finish the remaining 30% in just 2 more weeks of strikes. Between the incompatible demands, the rising economic pressure, and the hardening military postures, the friction points are multiplying. The transition from a fragile truce back to active combat is no longer just a possibility, but the current trajectory.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks.